Hey friends, welcome back. It is officially the first week in October, and I know I said last week that this week's episode or this week's vlog would be the next episode in our DIY series, and that is what I am delivering. I decided to make it one project this time because I thought it might be a little overwhelming for people to take in multiple DIY projects at once and have to make choices, and it takes a longer time to do the video and all that. So I'm gonna keep it short and simple from now on and just do one project at a time. I ended up doing a hanging bookshelf because it is actually something that I needed in my living space, but it would be perfect in any living space, from a little one's living space to a living room, office, wherever you end up putting it. It can be multifunctional because you can make it whatever size you want. So keep all of that in mind. When I'm telling you the one I created, it is specifically for a purpose that I wanted it. I thought out the measurements ahead of time. So I will go over my measurements with you, but just remember that you can use any measurements you want. So let's get into it. The supplies you're going to need are wood. And like I said, I will give you the measurements on those in a minute. And we used pine. A jigsaw is not necessary, but optional. If you want to make the curvature in the wood like we did, I'll show you in a minute. But again, that's totally optional, and it can save you time if you don't want to do that. A sander or sandpaper. We actually had a sander that broke as soon as we started using it, so we ended up finishing by hand sanding, which is totally fine. It just takes a little bit more time. Stain of your choice, and that's if you do end up deciding to stain it. If you're going for that more natural look, that's totally fine. It'll still look great, and it'll save you time and money in the long run. So then a drill and or hammer. We ended up using both because we put screws in the bottom of the bookshelf to keep it more supported all around, but you could get away with just using screws or just nails. So that would be your last supply on top of the drill and the hammer would be screws and or nails. So that's it. It's a pretty cheap project, especially if you end up skipping some of those steps that are optional. It can save you time and money in the long run. So the first thing we did was we cut our wood to the measurements. We did 4 pieces that were 36 inches long by 3.5 inches high by 1 inch in depth. And like I said, we did 4 of those. And then for the other 3 pieces, you can make it super simple and you can do them all 3 the same size, which can save you a headache when it comes to figuring out where pieces go and math and extra measurements and stuff like that. But we ended up just making 2 the same size and 1 that was a little offset. So when it went together, it kind of gave it a little bit of a sophisticated extra finish to it, but totally optional. It's up to you what you want to do. So if you're going to do all 3 pieces the same size, all you'll need, what we did is 16 inches high by 3.5 inches wide by 1 inch in depth. And you can do all 3 pieces that way, or you can do the offset one like we did. So we just made 1 piece 15.5 inches high instead of the 16, but the other measurements are the same. So 3.5 by 1 inch deep. And like I said, totally optional. So once we had all those cut out, what we did was we used our jigsaw to cut a curvature into the wood to make it look more like this. They're not the same, but that's just drawn out. I'm not a great artist. So to make the curvature in the wood like that, you could use a jigsaw. If you don't want to do that, that's totally fine too. And then once you have your wood all cut out to the dimensions that you want, you are going to take your sander or sandpaper and you're just going to give it a nice sand all over to get those rough patches out, especially if it's going to go in a little one's room. You're going to want to make sure it's extra soft and smooth so they can't get splinters or hit any sharp edges or anything like that. So you're going to want to go a little bit extra detailed on the sanding if it is for a little one's room. Even if it's for your own space, if you want to make sure it's that nice solid finish, definitely spend a little bit of extra time on there. And then what we did next was we stained it, so you don't have to stain it. You can leave it the plain wood if you would like. And we stained ours carbon gray, just to match all the other gray accents in our house. And then we just attached all the pieces together using our drill and screws and our hammer and nails. So it seems complicated, but it's really not. It's super simple, especially if you draw it out ahead of time. I just knew that I wanted 4 pieces that big, 2 pieces that big, and 1 piece that big. So it's super easy. It's actually pretty cheap too, and depending on however many steps you take, like I said, it does not take that long. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. It's a little too big to be on camera, but as you can see, these are our 4 pieces that we just did long. So we have like a back brace, a base, and then the front and back support. And then these are the 3 pieces I was talking about, where this and this are the same, and we just did this one a little offset just for a cool look. And then that curvature that we did in the wood there, we just did with a jigsaw. But you don't have to do that at all. We just wanted to make it kind of look more professionally built when we're not professionals. And yeah, when the stain was all dry, we used the finishing nails here in like all the visible places, and then we used screws on the bottom just to keep it more secure, and then we just screwed it into the wall. So if you go check out the actual blog, I will leave a picture of what this looks like hung up on the wall and actually put to its purpose. But like I said, it's a really easy project, does not take long at all, and it's super functional. So I made ours 3.5 inches so it could fit a few books. I also wanted to make sure this little gap was here because I pictured putting like little stuffed animals in there for our little one when we do have one, so their legs can kind of dangle out and they can be more secure. It does kind of inhibit me from putting thinner things that can slide out, especially like soft cover books, but if you stack them like thicker together, they stay. So yeah, this was really fun for me to make. It's already being used. I had to actually take it down from the wall just to show it in this video. But I can't wait to use it for our little one when we do finally have one, and put their stuffed animals and their books in there, which is something I already kind of did in one side, and then I put all the motherhood books on this side, because I kind of went a little crazy there when I found out that I was pregnant for a little bit. So I started buying some things, but they're not going to waste. They are going to be eloquently put on the wall and give me inspiration for when my dream finally does come true. So a super easy one today. Like I said, you don't even have to stain it. This is optional. The sizing is whatever you want it to be. So don't stick to my dimensions if that's not what works for your space. You can even make just a single width bookshelf. Another thing that I thought of, that if you're really wanting to go super easy, and if it works for your space sizing wise, you could always buy a pre-made palette, because that's kind of the design that this is in a sense, and just cut wherever it is that you need it to fit and hang it on up. So it's actually pretty light, but we just wanted to make sure that nothing would fall out the bottom, and we just put the finishing screws where it's more noticeable to everyone, so they kind of blend in better than just having those everywhere. So yeah, if you try this project, let me know. Share your finished product on social media, and don't forget to tag Earth to Mama on Facebook. It is just at Earth to Mama, EARTHTOMMA. And at Instagram, it is just at Earth_TO_MOMMA. Please tag me if you end up making your own version of this. I love seeing the uniqueness and the differences that people come up with on their own, and that fit their space and their likes and their preferences and their needs and their wants. So Don't forget to share if you do make something like this. If you have any ideas for something that you want to see in next month's episode, please drop them in the comments and I will get to working on those, because it does take a little bit to think of a project, create a project, and then share the project through video form. So if you have any ideas, that would be helpful to me, and I would love being able to help you out as well. Thank you for being here. As always, I truly wouldn't be here without your support. And if you are new here, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification button so you don't miss another video by me. And I will see you next week with another fun video.